I'm Skye Taylor, and I'm sort of a junior here. And before I preface what this is about, I'd like you all to close your eyes and imagine with me, okay? Imagine you wake up for high school on a bright morning, and you're a not so fussy girl. So you get up, you get out of bed, you throw your hair in a beautiful messy bun, you put on leggings, some Uggs, and an oversized sweater, but all your sweaters are oversized because you're just so petite. And then you leave your room because it's morning, you gotta go have breakfast, and you go downstairs, you're walking down the stairs, and you're expecting to see the grand spread your mom makes every morning that you only ever pick at because you're so petite and you have to go. But as you step down the stairs, you meet the beautiful blue and brown orbs of Zane, Harry, Lewis, Liam, and Niall, and your mom says, "Your name? I just sold you to One Direction." And you can all open your eyes now, because what I just described is one of the icky, cringeworthy tropes commonly found on websites like Wattpad and Archive of Our Own, also known as AO3. And these websites have bad reputations. Everyone who moves on from them goes, "Oh my God, can't believe I ever had a Wattpad phase." And you know, you look at literature like the sold to One Direction trope, and you sort of see, you're like, yeah, like me as an adult, me as a 16-year-old, like I don't want to read that, like whatever. But I'd like to argue that despite tropes like this and possibly icky, bad stories available, for spaces like Wattpad and Archive of Our Own are good. They offer so much more good than they keep us from. My personal history with Wattpad is a friend of mine got me to download the app when I was in 6th grade. So I was 12 and I was like, oh my God. And at the time, my hometown public library had gotten bed bugs. And my mom is a psycho. So the second she hears about bugs, that's done. So once I hit 12, once those bed bugs hit the Palatine Public Library, I was never allowed back. So that meant I couldn't go to the library for books. Books are pricey, so she wasn't gonna buy me any, and all I wanted to do was read. So I downloaded this app, and all of a sudden, I had hundreds of thousands of stories at my fingertips for free at the time. It's since been heavily monetized. But I was obsessed. So for the next 6 years, I read on the regular on this app, guys. I read so much. I was up until 3 a.m. every single night reading. But I wasn't just reading. Because once I hit 13, I was like, no, like, I want to be one of these people. So I started creating, I started writing, and I will never ever explain what I wrote, tell you where to find it, that's behind me. But in writing for so long, I developed such a passion for creative writing. It's sort of, kind of what I want to do in the future. We're having a moment, but before Wattpad, I probably wouldn't have ever considered like being an author and writing. That seemed like such a smart person, like other people thing. I was having my fun. You know, I was reading the werewolf stories. Because that's a whole genre on Wattpad, by the way, werewolf. But not only did I develop a love for writing and arguably a lot of writing skills, because when you do it for that long, you're gonna get pretty good. I also found a really cool community. I eventually developed fans who still to this day give me notifications like, oh my God, like, are you ever gonna update this? And then I look the other way, because I won't. But like, I found a sense of community. I found all these other people who were just as kind of weird as I was into the same things, and it fostered all of these things within me. So even though we can look at Wattpad and go, man, like, it's kind of a weird app, like it's got a horrible reputation, it's silly. It did so much good for me, and I'm sure it did so much good for other people. So Wattpad and other sites like it allow access to literature of varying qualities, but there's a lot of good stuff, and it allows opportunities to develop skills and passions for things that otherwise people may not have felt like they had access to. I got the idea for this TED Talk because in August, my home university, University of Edinburgh, we have 2 student papers. I wrote for the cool one. There's a boring one that the school has that I didn't write for, and they published an article comparing Wattpad to Pornhub. And I really didn't like that. That stuck with me, because I was like, no, like, I get that you can find some freaky stuff on there, but you can also find a lot of good stuff, and you can find freaky stuff anywhere. Are you saying Instagram is Pornhub? Are you saying Twitter is Pornhub? No, you're picking out the one that girls enjoy. Majority women are enjoying these sites, and you are specifying that one because you need to find an equivalent for the physical exploitation of women that occurs on porn websites. I just was really upset by this article. I couldn't believe one of my fellow girl peers at my university had to go and say this. And so I'd argue that Wattpad does so much more good than it does bad. And there's going to be inappropriate, bad content everywhere you go. And I would love for the creators and moderators of Wattpad to get better at ensuring the 13, 14, 15-year-olds on the site have better filtered libraries, that their digital libraries don't allow them access to the truly harmful stuff. But I'd also argue that what these sites offer these girls is more important than the possible harms. And I'd raise the question, who are we to stop others from enjoying what they want to read, from developing loves for reading and writing that so many others don't develop? Like, I feel like a lot of my cousins don't love to read and write. They especially don't like to read or to write, but I don't ever see them pick up a book. My brother never picks up a book. And I don't think it's because of Wattpad that I picked up a book, but I think it's because of the access that I've sustained a love for fiction throughout academia, where you're only given nonfiction and literary stuff that just kind of beats down on you. It's not the light stuff. So ultimately, I'd like to ask why we judge these websites so strongly when it seems like they're offering young people community and the ability to learn and develop skills. And I'd also like to ask why would that be more important than like the sort of niche, quirky genres that tend to pop up? Why are they worth less than the access to the material from the get-go?
When was your last Wattpad post?
My flatmates found my account last January, and then they were all sitting there on the couch, and so I like took it all down. But then I felt bad about that, because I was like, you know, like I'm losing something by like reacting to what they're doing. So like after a week I put it all back up. So it would say that like my last update was like January 2022, but I probably last published a chapter late 2019. I know, it's bad, it's bad.
Why do you think majority women gravitate towards these sites?
I think it's because of the genres they focus on, because they almost all lean romance, right? They're fan fiction or they're historical romance, werewolf romance, vampire romance, all the different categories that you wouldn't think of. And because it's about romance, that is a genre that centers the experience of women mostly. And it's why like so much of romance today gets like, oh, you're just reading porn. Because it does get sexual at times, but how is it any different from like the sexual scenes you'd see in a TV show? It's not. It's just that it centers women and you're reading it.
I said hello. I feel like that was really low.